Test 1, 2. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I've taken the liberty of kind of hijacking the stream from the Village Sports Bar this evening. I've been away all weekend. There hasn't been a huge amount of commentary or anything going on while I've been away, and I thought it was only fair that I jump in and give everybody a reason for and why. The Village Sports Bar has got an absolutely fantastic streaming setup, multiple tables, but normally I would be there to assist and run and control, but I've been away all weekend feeling a little bit ill, and the second reason I jumped on this evening was to give the sponsor a big shout out, which is Gareth Aries, which you can see playing now in the final of the Big Welsh 1-8. I think both the club and the sponsor needed a bit of shout out, and also kind of explain and show why they are not showing this evening or this weekend what is capable. So this is more for Mr. Bushnell and Gareth Aries of CYMRU CUES to explain how things could have been for all the viewers at home. So we'll kick back in the action. Again, this is an appreciation of the Village Sports Bar and Gareth Aries from CYMRU CUES more than anything else. But at the moment we are in our final with Gareth Aries and Mark Skinner after 2 days of some fantastic pool. I'm assuming those at home have been watching. Like myself, I've been at home watching myself. I think the appreciation should be given for the setup and the amount of players and the two finalists here today. So I've just jumped on to give myself a little bit of, or them, a little bit of kudos. So anyway, back to where we are. I've jumped in with Gareth Aries being 2-1 up and race to 10 in the final. It looks like Mark at the table playing on reds. Pretty said he was open to come the other side of the red there to pot it to the top right hand corner, but he's going to rethink and reroute. He does have a shot to the bottom right hand corner for the cue ball to travel through a lot of traffic to get back up to the red. He's attempted to finish and clear this table. I think that's the only opportunity he might have. Apart from one yellow. If he was to give Gareth an opportunity at this table, he'll be facing loss on this frame. Doing this all I thought he can. Thinking about positioning the white in a place where Gareth wouldn't be able to come back and clear. Me personally, I think he's only got one crack at the whip, and that's taking the long red to the bottom right hand corner as we look. Not many places on the table we can hide the white at the moment, with the yellows as they sit. Opted to try and take the safety shot. There are pots available for Gareth, whether he decides to take them at the moment. Got more options for a safety visit than Mark had. Doesn't necessarily have to attempt to clear up on this visit. There is a long pot. Poke to the centre. If you're looking at the angle, I think he was hoping he'd possibly come off the bottom cushion and bring the contact with the yellow against the left cushion, but I think that could be pretty much frame over it on this particular visit. Mark's got an opportunity to bring it back to 2-all. Might have to consider where the black's going to go at the moment. There's very few pockets that they could arrange. Might use this free visit to clear up a better position of the black in most pockets. If he helps move the yellow. He's looking there, he's thinking about counting the yellow into the yellow. 2 in 1 shot here. Putting 1 yellow against the cushion. Opening the position up for the black. And a second thought. I think he should be using this visit to try and open the black up a little bit if he can. Make it available to a lot more pockets than there is at the moment. There we go, so that's the yellow gone. Black's now available in multiple pockets in comparison to earlier. Let's just drop this red to the top right hand corner. Leave himself a long pot to the bottom right. Not a huge amount to do with the cue ball here, just concentrate on the straight part. It'll be natural for the black to the left hand centre. Worked that out well. Had a couple of options of moving that yellow to make the black available, and that was the one that was holding it back. Mark bringing it back to 2-all. And you may or may not see my screen bouncing through internet pages. This live stream, as I said, I've sort of jumped on from home to give both these players the dues that were needed. And I can give it a few other extras for those at home, then so be it, but this is more not necessarily myself. SWT live streams being there. Normally would, but I'd be still running under the streaming system that Bushnell, who runs the Village Sports Bar, be assisting in streaming from his systems and his streaming kit. And again, what I've done on my stream is try to give as much airtime to CYMRU CUES. Well, at the end of the day, sponsoring this, although Gareth is in the final, he is doing a huge amount of sponsoring this event. So, he might recoup some of his costs if he does win it, but there we go. So if we do see my screen flashing back and forth between internet pages and a few other things, it's just simply because I'm doing it from home rather than the venue. But anyway, Gareth to break. Coming up dry, no, it just managed to drop a red into the top right hand corner. On the replay, dropping in there, bingo into the top right hand corner. these reds out. 100% certain whether the black will go to the bottom left hand corner. He's looking at it as we speak. But he always does. If it doesn't, he's got an opportunity to take it off the side cushion off the yellow, but the way he's queuing, it looks like it's a straight part. There we go. Back to, quickly takes it back to 3-2. Again, this is the final of the Big Welsh 128. 28 players from across Wales. Battling down over 2 days. Straight knockout scenario. Believed myself, but keep an eye on Q Score and watching as much of the live streams I could over the weekend while I was away. Went down Friday night and done my best to set it up. Watched Gareth a few times on the stream and did watch, not much watch, but I kept an eye on Mark Skinner playing through because he ended up in a quarter-final match against a colleague of mine and the player, Tom Davis. Managed to pinch it from 9-7 down to come back to win 10-9. Fantastic effort there from Mark. Semi-final, I believe he beat Sargent. Oh no, I beg your pardon. Gareth had beat Sargent. Anyway, I digress. Off. Options at the table. Looks like 3 yellows. The colour set as we looked at it was had a issue with the 2 at the bottom. Take the opportunity to separate the red and yellow after this shot. Did that well enough. The big pocket into the right hand centre as we look. Whether he can force the cue ball a bit higher up the table after taking his shot on. Got the advantage that he doesn't need to pot it clean. He can play it off the red, which will allow him to play with a little bit more pace. Left hand side. Facer right. He played left hand side. White up over the right hand side to keep the white low. Go off the red. Play that with a little bit of pace and possibly force the white up the table rather than down, but still not too bad. He's taken red away from the pocket. Guarded the pocket with the yellow. Much of a pot for Gareth to go at. Pretty certain Gareth would have loved that red to stay over the pocket. 100% convinced. Conventional cover. Gareth had a lot of work here to do. I think, unfortunately, pot in the red. Chances are we would say fantastic shot, great pot, but I don't think he meant it to go down. It's got an opportunity here. The two yellows close to each other. I don't think the top yellow will pass into the corner. It might to clear one of them at least to have a path for the other. So we'll determine whether it'll go or not. Takes it on now it goes. Not then I'm certainly play the one to the left centre first. Doing down so yellow will pass. That red is a stopper. That's a cushion. Been looking for a little bit more turn on that white ball. Angle now is either good or bad. He's going to have to work the white ball a little bit, make the black. A bit straighter, he could have just drew it back a bit. I think he might have to use a cushion here somewhere. Thought this with a little bit more force than he initially intended. Several ways to cook the egg, but looks like he's screwing back. Managed to squeeze past the red. As expected. Two finalists. Finding it difficult to separate each other. So bring it back to 3-all. Like it's cast the break next. Test 1, 2, test, test. Microphone test 1, 2. They say, ladies and gentlemen, I'm doing this from home at the moment, so just had a quick sound check and I could see there was a bit skippy and blocky. Do apologise, but again, this is doing it for the benefit of the club and the sponsor at the moment, which is Village Sports Bar in Abercrave and Garrett series of CYMRU CUES. They're kind of hijacked, but I'm best to support both of those. Much commentary and speech as I can. So I'm just going to keep playing away. Settings. Hopefully everything will come back as it should be, but in the meantime, Mark Skinner's on yellows. Just travelled a bit too far there, but it's got a yellow to the centre, but looking to take the lead for the first time. Test 1, 2. Just doing another microphone test after I plug in a few things. While I'm doing this, I can't really see exactly, or hear rather, exactly what's going on from outside of YouTube, so ignore me for a minute or two. I'll try and get my settings right on the microphone. While doing so, have this on reds. So after another settings check, marks on the table at yellows, may have to take the cut along the rail. Try to double into the centre, not leaving Gareth with much. So after a few checks, I realised I had a few things plugged in a few different places. So I did realise that I was nattering away and it was coming over like I was a smash robot. So I just reiterate again what I started at the beginning of the stream, or my stream, that I'm streaming this on my channel, SWT Live Streams, kind of hijacking what is the stream from the Village Sports Bar in Abercray, run by Paul Bushnell. This is the Big Welsh 128, sponsored by CYMRU CUES, which is Gareth Aries, who you can see today, or this evening, is playing in the final against Mark Skinner. The reason I've jumped on board is because I would normally be there controlling and running the stream. I just felt it was important that those watching. So after a few checks, I realised that a few things. So I thought I'd give it a bit of a boost and talk about the promoters, the sponsors, the club as much as possible. So if anybody's watching this live or watch it back later at a later date, well, would appreciate that. Maybe what they have been watching over the weekend, although a great exhibition of pool from 128 players and a great streaming setup from the club, may or may not have realised the effort involved in bringing that stream to you and the money involved without the sponsorships. So I digress. That's what all this is about, and that's what I mentioned at the beginning before I realised the microphone was a little bit playing up. So we'll continue with Gareth Aries with a race of 10. Currently leading 4-3 to Mark Skinner. Gareth's just trying to work out. Oh, sorry, I think it was. I was looking away from the screen and wasn't sure if it was Gareth. Yep, it's Gareth. Just trying to figure out his route. I'm pretty confident he played that in a way that he was going to open that difficult yellow out that was stuck next to the red. If he didn't, then it was a touch of fluke, but confident that's the way he played it. That's now made pretty much every yellow available to one or several pockets. Black in a lovely open position. So it's a case of finding his route for the last 5 yellows. Pretty much a perfect angle to put the red into the top right hand corner and bring the white back down the table, avoiding all the traffic on the way down. Both yellows will go to the bottom right hand corner. Yellow to the right hand centre if he travels too short. It's got a pretty straightforward pot to the right hand corner of this yellow, but hampered by the black and the fact he's a little bit straighter than he would have liked. He's got the option for the yellow to the right hand side. This one's going to take a bit of jacking up and body position, leg off the floor. Maybe forced into taking the more difficult pot, the yellow next to the red. I think at times where you talk yourself into a shot that you shouldn't be taking, but played that really well. Knew he was going to be bouncing back. You've seen his finger earlier. He was going to be bouncing back off that cushion on the left hand side. Short, he'd have had the one to the centre. Long, the one he was playing on now. What he'd love to do now is pot this yellow without making contact with the black, or finding himself tucked behind the black. He may be looking to pot the one to the centre. Dead weight. Leaving himself the long yellow. took that as a easier route for the black. Nobody's going to leave himself a sort of a longer pot for this yellow, but a little bit overzealous with the cue ball there, but shouldn't be no problem cutting back to the centre. It's just about the white ball, shouldn't be anywhere near the corner pocket. Mature it with the side, and Gareth takes a 5-3 lead. And again, while we're setting up the table and setting up the next break, which is going to be Gareth's, it's important for everybody to know that all of this weekend streaming and all of these players are all only there because of really two things, and that's the venue and the sponsors. And Gareth just racking up the balls there of CYMRU CUES. Pretty much one of the main and supreme suppliers of anything cue ball related: snooker, pool, billiards, all your cues, tips, accessories. We don't have his contact details on the screen, but if you do a search on Facebook or Google, you'll certainly find his webpage and his Facebook page. Take a look out, or take a look rather, for anything you might need in the future. Cloths, cues, chalks, balls, anything that's related to cue ball sport, I'm certain he'll have it at one of the best competitive rates and with a fantastic service. And the venue itself, the Village Sports Bar, run by Paul Bushnell. And those that are not in the knowledge, in the know, will understand that, or would learn to understand that Paul Bushnell is a great advocate for pool in Wales, not just Wales, but across the country. His club, the Village Sports Bar in Abercray, an absolutely fantastic venue with 10 first-class supreme tables, darts, music, food, alcohol, everything you need for a great day, evening out, with multiple tournaments run across the year. Only currently, maybe 2-3 weeks ago, run a massive IPA event, the Welsh Grand Prix. The IPA Welsh Grand Prix was run from the venue, with top professional stars from all over the country coming down to take part. So we're back to the game, and Mark's going to be on yellows. Looking hopefully to separate possibly the red and the yellow together, but doesn't need to at this point because the yellow will go into one of two pockets as it sits. May decide to leave it as he stands, but from where he is at the moment, I can't really see a pot. There may be a gap between the two yellows for the lower yellow to the bottom left hand corner. Difficult to tell from the screen angle. Looks like he's queuing down for it, so it should pass. This is where he may or may not opt to separate the red and yellow. He may opt to take the yellow to the centre and just run past for the red next, the yellow next to the red to the bottom left hand corner. think if he does opt for the cannon to separate them, there's a chance the red won't go down and cover the middle pocket as he's looking there. If he does go for the cannon and the red doesn't drop, then he will be covering the bag and stopping the yellow pass into the centre. So this is about what he's thinking about. He went for the cannon, managed not to cover the bag with the red. Not sure if he can get to the pot, to the bottom right hand corner. He's looking at the plant. Fraught with danger, this shot. Pretty much needs to guarantee to pot it. But could be giving Gareth a simple visit to the table if he does miss it. There is a pot to the top left hand corner. The white's going to be travelling around the table. Needs to avoid those three reds at the top if he was to take that on. I think that's the reason why he's not looking at it. If this plant was to go, then it should be the frame winning shot, but it is fraught with so much danger. Such a large gap between the two yellows. Can so easily go wrong. And there goes your problem. Not only did he miss the plant, he did nudge the red closer to the centre pocket, giving Gareth a little bit more freedom in his positional choices. If he hadn't nudged that red, then Gareth would have had a lot less more to go at. But this red could be an opener. Looking to see if it was a frozen ball. And those that don't know, in Blackpool rules, if a ball is frozen against a cushion, it's not deemed to be hitting a cushion until you contacted another ball. You can see by Gareth's body reaction there then, just urging that ball to bounce out. Definitely played the cannon into the red to bring it out in the open more. Just see his head bouncing up saying, come on, give me an inch or two. So it should be red to the bottom left hand corner. Drop down slowly to the red against the cushion. Oh, he's a little bit straighter there than he would have liked. High or low would have given him a perfect angle, but needs to work this cue ball from here. Definitely going to leave himself a long pot whichever way, unless he punches it with a huge amount of. There we go, left himself a long pot to the top left. Just seeing if he's going to cannon into that red and knock it against the cushion. And at this level of play, the pot is not the difficult thing, it's controlling the white ball. With the length of the shot. If he puts action on it, there's always a chance of taking the pot away, but he needs to avoid that cannon on the red, which he's done absolutely perfectly. Just a 1/4 inch of screw on the white ball to bring it through the gap. If he'd played it plain ball, he'd guaranteed would have cannoned it into the red. And that's all down to that misplant that Mark tried to take. I spoke about earlier. It was one of those that if it went, it would have been his frame, and if he missed it, he was leaving the gate open for Gareth, which has now taken a 6-3 lead. So we start frame 10 with a dry break from Mark. Excuse me 1 second. My apologies if you heard me coughing. I'm on the dying end of a bad cold and flu. So Gareth at the table, considering his colour choices, looks like he's going to start with reds. I think he was hoping to make the white travel a little bit further. To get the red into the top right hand corner. As he's looking at it now, she wants to continue with the run. She only got 2 options: a fine cut to the top right hand corner, or plant to the bottom right hand corner, which he's looking at there. Of course, he may opt. No, it looks like he's going for the run out, the 3 frame gap. If he was to take this plant on and make it, he's hoping to screw across and move the yellow, which is closest to the next red, which is exactly what he did do. Now, although those reds look tied up in and amongst a big group in the middle of the table, they all have a pocket to go into. But it is about finding the right spot for the white. Yeah, it's got an easy start there with the red to the bottom right hand corner. The cue ball is a bit tight to the cushion, so he's not going to be able to get much action other than natural angles. See him placing his cue on the left hand side there. If we can avoid contact after potting this red to the bottom right hand corner, if we can avoid contact with that yellow on the side cushion, he might have an opportunity to come back up the table, but it's going to be difficult to miss that yellow if he's going to play it with pace. sure what he's looking at the moment. Going to try and continue the run with a long pot to the top right hand corner. I think he might have started chasing the frame there rather than working things out a little bit more, but he's in the final. He's leading 6-3. Who am I to say any different? But anyway, Mark at the table now. Again, I keep swapping my colours around. I do apologise on the bottom of the screen. Mark is actually on yellows. Mark's not out of this frame by a long way, even with the red as it is over the top right hand corner. He doesn't necessarily have to go after these. He can make life easy for himself later on, and definitely make life difficult for Gareth. See Mark's thoughts there, but really what he has done is just tied up one red and given Gareth an opening pot and opportunities to find angles and develop that one red. So, uncharacteristic miss there from Gareth. See what he was doing, trying to give himself an angle to come across and clear the bottom right hand corner pocket. So a bit of a let off for Mark on that particular shot. Don't think he's got anything left other than to go for these now and take them out. And in the back of his mind, he's always thinking about that red next to the yellow. Is yellow's available in 1, 2, 3 pockets? He doesn't need to move it now, but at the same time, he is on a plumb angle to take it if he wants. This is where your mind starts playing tricks with you when you're looking for a run out. You can see an option, but you know a ball can save you if you leave it till later, but later doesn't always come around. Looks like he's opting to play safe, making 100% certain that red will 100% need to be moved if Gareth decides to continue with this run out or use a shot to bring it out. And again, I arc back. I think Mark is definitely thinking about that red next to the yellow as being a saviour, but I don't think it's that much of a saviour. You might can play tricks through at times, but we'll see what Gareth decides to do. I think it's merit in just bringing the red off the cushion slightly. Red on the bottom right hand corner. Just playing to the left hand side of it, bringing it off slightly and leaving yourself an opportunity for a skill shot at a later date. Oh, I think what Gareth's done there is created a bigger problem than he had earlier with that red next to the yellow. Mark has options here. He can play the yellow to the centre, but as you've seen him pointing his cue, the white ball is going to be travelling towards the black, or he could just clip off the left hand side, the red of the bottom cushion as we look at it. Again, I go back to what I said the last shot before. There's possibly some merit in just playing off that red on the right hand cushion. It's a bit more difficult with the gap between them both, but if you could bring it out flush in front of the yellow, stop the direct pot. Yeah, he's always going to leave a plant or a cannon plant of some description, but they all come down to luck then for your opponent. As it is there right now, the only thing is stopping is the yellow just above it going to the corner pocket. This frame turning into a bit of a cat and mouse affair. Who's going to draw the mistake first? Who's going to make the mistake first? So they're both trying to get an advantage from a shot and putting their opponent to a disadvantage. That might force Mark into going for the clearance. He's got the gap through the pocket to hit the cue ball cleanly. He's not bridging or striking down. If he can make this long pot to the bottom left hand corner, he's striking out a little bit by the looks of it, so just a clean pot if he can make it. Just the one yellow to consider. He can play the pot and move the red to develop the pocket for that yellow down the rail. He could opt to just bring the yellow out, but again, if he does that, he's giving angles and pots back to Gareth to make skill shots and snookers and all kinds of things that are available. Some people are aggressive, some people are more thoughtful in their process. And this is one, me personally, I think I'd be taking the pot over the corner and trying to bring the red out, but you go for the double maybe. That's a little bit more aggressive than my taking the yellow and moving the red, so kill two birds with one stone. Took away the danger and still kept the pocket covered, so great pot there from Mark. Barring a twitch or a roll too far, can't see him really losing this frame and bringing it back to 6-4. Then again, commentator's curse, we never know. It's just finding the right balls in the right order with the right angle. He may have to make a cannon at some point with that red and yellow over the bottom right hand corner. Depends how cleanly and with what angle he can find the pot to open the pocket up, because as it is at the moment, he cannot afford to go anywhere near this bottom cushion and leave himself no pot on that yellow over the pocket. And he's, yep, so he is after carrying that red. I think he's got much option rather than just drop it dead weight and leave himself a yellow to the left hand corner. He may have enough to squeeze past with a bit of side off the cushion. He's definitely off angle to screw it back, so he's either got to miss the red completely and come off the side cushion to put the yellow in the same pocket, or he's got to drop it dead weight and leave himself. Oh, he did have the screw angle, but then again, I don't know why. Even with an angle to screw it, he was always going to be taking the cue ball. If you follow the track of the cue ball there, it was always going in an angle which was going to leave this pot in angle for the yellow. But he took it well. Took it really well. So Mark brings it back to 6-4. Sorry, ladies and gents, I was just setting up a couple of things while I was chatting away. Hopefully this will work, so I'll just try it on this. There we go. So the line I drew there is an important line for anybody watching any kind of live stream. If you're watching a tournament event on a live stream, even in some cases, some big name events, Ultimate Pool, IPA, etc., etc., unless it's a referee actually racking up the balls, you're relied on as a breaker or the person breaking, setting the balls up yourself. Oh, it's been a lot of controversy about wing balls and twisted racks and gaps in the rack and this, that and the other. So if you were breaking, then you want a tight rack, so you want those balls tight. Also, if you're breaking, then you might want a wing ball, which are the bottom two corner balls, either with a gap or just off a touch. And a big one is the twisted rack, which is why I drew that line earlier. Something to bear in mind. Some players do it purposefully. Some players just do it because they are quick rackers. They rack balls up, smash them up, don't care if there's a gap or not. I'm just going to hit the balls. But an important thing to look at is that line that I just drew earlier. You see now on a lot of main events and tournament tables, you see this line down the centre of the table. This one here. It's drawn on the table. It's important that that bottom ball in the middle of the rack is basically dead centre to that line. It's marked for a reason. You've got the black ball spot with the dot in the middle. If you are watching or not watching or new to the game, see how many times that ball is, or that rack is set off just quarter inch, half inch, sometimes full ball off that centre line. Makes a hell of a difference to a break, and in the modern game, anybody at the top end will tell you the break is pretty much the most important shot of the match. Nowadays it's break and dish, try break dish. And I wasn't pointing that out because of the last rack, because I did notice he was spot on centre, but I've been watching over the weekend to see how many are off squiff. Not this weekend, but many months, many weeks, many tournaments. Makes a huge difference. Anyway, I digress. Back to the game. After what was a perfectly good rack setup, Gareth is looking at a break and dish on yellows. Obviously the yellow does pass to the bottom right hand corner. You would never be playing that in that manner. You would have liked maybe an inch or two further. So you didn't have to use the cushion maybe for the positional shot, but makes no difference. This should commentator's curse. There we go, there it goes, it's going. Oh, I apologise, Gareth. Commentator's curse. But it was a couple of inches short anyway. I think that's why he played it with such a pace. He didn't want to come off the cushion. He tried to stun it back for the black to the centre. But, there we go. I digress. I'm just going to top myself up with a refreshment and water the horse, and I'll be back shortly. So I return after lightly refreshed shall I say, and more watered, and I come back to see that mist yellow has come back to haunt Gareth a little bit, and in the danger of repeating myself again for those at home, it's quite important that the venue and the sponsors and the players all get a good mention for this event, the Big Welsh 128, and for this time round it's been renamed as the CYMRU CUES Big Welsh 128, rightfully so, for the thankful sponsors from Gareth Aries, who is our finalist this evening, the owner and proprietor of CYMRU CUES. Again, if you got anything cue ball related, or cue sports related shall we say, snooker, pool, billiards, whatever it is, tips, cues, chalks, accessories, cases, everything you would associate with a cue sport, CYMRU CUES is the first point of call for anybody. Do a quick search on Google or Facebook and you'll find them there, and their customer service and their stock availability and everything else, all because of Gareth, is second to none. So please take a look. And secondary is the Village Sports Bar in Abercray, absolutely fantastic venue. For where it's situated, you wouldn't believe it. It's not in any major town or city. It's a small village in the middle of the Welsh Valleys. But when you walk inside, you'd swear you were in a main city venue. Outstanding tables, food, drink, beer, atmosphere, everything you need in a modern sports venue, and run by none other than Paul Bushnell. Again, for those that don't know or are not in the know, one of the leading figures in the Welsh pool and possibly in the top 10 of the UK pool scene. Controls, manages and runs many different events. Spends the majority of his time and life running around the pool scene. So again, big shout out to Paul Bushnell of the Village Sports Bar. And for those that are tuning in, today is just a accumulation should I say, of a weekend's pool, the Big Welsh 128, or the CYMRU CUES Big Welsh 128, which is run, I believe, twice a year, possibly once a year, I'm not 100% certain, but 128 players from Wales, all non-elite, i.e. non-professionals. So even though you've seen some fantastic pool on show this weekend, you gotta understand there are no professional or elite players allowed to enter this particular tournament. But you'd still think on some occasions you are watching some of the elites. And from the 128 players over 2 days, we are now down to our final. Gareth Aries and Mark Skinner playing a race to 10. Yes, Gareth currently leading 6-4. And again, I'll just repeat that Gareth is the owner and proprietor of CYMRU CUES, which is this year's sponsor, or the sponsor for the Big Welsh 128 this year. And from what was maybe 5 minutes ago, a really reasonable chance for Gareth to take this frame has turned into a major cat and mouse with 1 yellow remaining. But I believe there was 7 reds remaining at the time. He could have dished this frame. So Mark doing a great job of frustrating Gareth on this particular match, or this particular frame. Sometimes frames like this can get inside a player's head. We'll see how strong mentally that Gareth could be after this frame and what will to come later, but sometimes frustrating a player can take them out of their stride. But we see what happens. Okay, after a very cagey cat and mouse frame, where Gareth really could have taken it a lot earlier, it went to Mark, who's brought it back to 6-5. I believe that was Mark to break with a reasonably decent break. All the balls in the open, opting for reds. I didn't really leave himself a perfect positional shot there. When the red's situated, he did always have outs, but I digress to where we are now. It's got a great opportunity to drop the red into the centre pocket. He's got the security of the red to the right hand centre pocket if and when he cannons onto this yellow. So I don't think the red at the top of the table will go into the top left hand corner. There is some value to taking the red down to the bottom left hand corner as we look at it. He is going to be hampered, slightly queuing, but there may be some value in taking this now. Again, with the security of the red to the right hand centre as we're looking at it. Difficult pot, but there are pros and cons for taking it. As you can see, he's looking, if he does take it, he may have an option for both reds. Queuing's a little bit awkward, so if he makes this pot, there's only one red to consider, which is the one at the top of the table as we look. And if anybody is watching this live as we speak, then you're more than welcome to join in on the chat. I'll give you a shout out if I see your names. As I explained earlier, this is not the main stream. This is me trying to help out, support both the club and the venue and the sponsors. I would normally be there, but unfortunately I haven't been able to, so try to help out as much as I can. I can see what Mark is thinking. This red in the centre pocket has value to leave, but it's also got value now to get on that awkward red at the top. That's a great positional shot. Again, it's down to how we'd like to play this. He could just drop it dead weight and leave himself a long red. He could try to play a little bit more aggressive and get closer to the red, which he may end up behind the black. Oh my god. There's a difference between being aggressive and trusting in your potting skills, and I'm not sure if Mark didn't have faith in the long pot, or but there was that danger. You could see him angry with himself. He could have opted to drop it in and leave himself a long red. Even if he dropped it in, the angle was always there with the black sitting where it was. He tried to make life easier by getting the white as close as he could to the red, but just didn't give it enough power. And he's ended up in this situation. It is a total, so that's all he needs to do is make contact with the red. And I think he has. Not the catastrophe it looked like initially. Gallagher's got some work to do. He's got several opening pots. Cut to the centre, left hand. Cut back to the bottom right hand corner. If he cuts back to the bottom right hand corner, he is going to cannon into that yellow, and the last thing he wants to do is push it against the rail to stop it going down the corner, and he's got enough bounce on it, so that's not too bad. So with the bounce out from the yellow off the rail with that yellow, again he's got several options, but it's picking the right option for the two semi-awkward yellows against the top cushion and the left hand cushion. He's got two reasonably straightforward pots. To bottom right hand corner and top left hand corner. If any of them can give him optimal position on any of the semi-awkward yellows, you'll choose which one first. I think the yellow to the bottom right hand corner may not be the one to take now, because it's got a little bit of cover if things were to go wrong later on in these 5 balls. You could always use that as a snooker availability. You could even neglect to take these out on this session at all. Not sure if this is the right option. He's literally put the white in the same place as he was when potting it, so hasn't really gained anything from that pot. I can't really see any gain at all personally, but that's my personal opinion. He struck it with a bit of pace, so I'm assuming he was looking to get some kind of action, maybe up the table. It's more of a stun shot than anything else, but might have been worth leaving that yellow where it was. But again, I'm not living in Gareth's head, so he may have a thought process that I haven't considered. But whatever that process was, it was the same process as it was a shot ago, because the white hasn't really moved. So again, I'm not really certain what. He may be going for the double. That was a shot he could have done 2 shots ago by bringing the yellow out, and he may have had a 2-ball snooker. But what it has done is left a huge amount of space for Mark to play maybe 1, 2, 3 cushions if ever the snooker arised or did arise, which it has now. If you can imagine where that yellow was earlier, which was roughly in that area, then he could have forced Mark into a totally different scenario. But So I don't think there's a huge amount of outs here for Gareth. I think he's got to take the bull by the horns. If he does opt to take the yellow to the centre, it has to be with a negative amount of pace to leave a yellow to the top left, or with a positive amount of pace to bring it off the cushion. Positive pace, there's always a chance of catching a knuckle. Negative pace, he's definitely going to leave the red on. So I don't think he has many options. He could opt to come off the yellow and leave the white in this area if he so desired, but again, difficult to tell. He's given it as much thought as he can. He knows that whatever he does, he can't afford to let Mark come back to the table with a shot, because as a black as it is, any kind of potting angle would be frame over and Mark bringing it back to 6-all. As you play in the long pot to the top left hand corner. That was a great shot. Absolutely fantastic shot there from Gareth. Put everything into it. Knew that if he was going to miss it, there was nothing he could have done. And he may have just left himself enough angle so he could top this, he could screw it, he could put the side on it, a tiny bit of arc. Watching the way he cued that, he kind of put a bit of check left, whatever you want to call it. So from what was a difficult finish, Gareth put his eggs in one basket, took the 3 million yellows out quite well in the end. You can see a wry smile on his face as he's walking back. He's talking about the shot he missed. Bit of a wry smile. I think that clearance would have given him a lot of confidence. Again, this is a race to 10, so Mark not 100% out of it. Could have easily made that 6-all. And I think during this final, Mark has only been in head once. Again, we'll take a look at this rack that I was talking about earlier, this white line. You can see Gareth making 100% certain that at the end of the day it is your break, so you are looking for a nice tight rack. You can see him looking around for gaps. And we look at this line I spoke about earlier. That line there. And you can see bottom ball is pretty much cock centre of the line. It's something that bugs me when I'm watching a lot of live streams, how much that ball can be off centre, how much difference it makes to a break. Gareth with an absolutely thumping break. Pretty much taking every ball to the top of the table. Again, great sign of a tight rack. No gaps between the balls. Gives every opportunity for the balls to travel around the table. Gareth opting for yellows. Walking around the table with a bit of pace. You can pretty much smell how well those yellows broke. You can see 3-4 shots in front of himself. These are pretty much tap-ins, but sometimes you can get too far in front of yourself. Life can sometimes be a little bit too easy, as the old adage goes. You see that he kind of slowed down just before that shot and realised that he may have been just going a little bit too gung-ho. I think that last frame put a little bit of wind in his sails. Gotta be careful not to let it get too much to him. Bit of confidence can get the adrenaline running, the adrenaline will get the arm running. Things can be a little bit faster in your mind and in your arm. And I think that was a pure example. After a great frame before, a great break, seeing the yellows, I think you could smell the winning line before anything else. We all do it. We get that little bit of wonderful winning feeling after a frame, and then you get a fantastic break and you look down at the table and think, well, this is bread and butter. Sometimes you gotta check yourself, slow yourself down. I think Mark is at the table now for the fault of Gareth, I gotta be honest. What was looking a reasonably straightforward clearance has given Mark an opportunity to not so much take the frame, but make things a little bit more awkward, shall we say. And if Mark could find any way of moving that yellow away from that left-hand centre pocket, I'm certain he'd be looking at it, but contacting it is always a danger of knocking it towards the pocket or knocking it in. But it's seeing if he left it there, would Gareth have the opportunity for the plant up the rail? I think the opportunity is there, but if it was to come off, he may end up leaving the plant in yellow behind the red. He certainly doesn't want to move the red next to the yellow. I think as a straight pot, wherever you put that white ball, it'd be difficult to pot the yellow, which is next to the red. I'd almost argue to say it'd be impossible, no matter where you put the white ball. He couldn't pot that yellow, so he definitely doesn't want to move that red. He's looking to tuck it behind possibly, but he doesn't want to move it. Quite clever there from Mark. What he's done is he's basically forced Gareth into taking this yellow into the centre, negating any problems later on when he could have used it for a plant. So he's snooking him on both yellows And Gareth, you can see Gareth is looking at, can I pot that yellow at all? I think even if he put the white right next to the yellow, he couldn't pot it, so he's going to have to find a way to cannon those, or even waste the shot by opening it, but he's refusing to take the one over the centre, knowing exactly what Mark was trying to get him to do. Now, if Mark can make contact with any red, I don't think that yellow still will go into that top corner. Pretty certain that that yellow will not go up there. So it's all about, oops, it's all about this mess. If Mark decides to play this red that he's closest to, he's got to make sure that he doesn't leave that pot to the centre. It's all about a delicate little touch, and he must hit the cushion afterwards. I think I would be totally inclined to play in any direction where I could find a way to hit any one of these reds. I think a foul is just as good as playing this red, because if he plays the red which he's closest to, I think he's possibly going to give him the frame anyway. That's all Gareth needs to do now, is just tuck up behind. Oh, he's looking to see, run it down the rail off the yellow into the centre. This is where my kind of argument about giving a foul away or playing the shot he played, because the shot he played, he's pretty much given a visit to Gareth to move the yellow, and if he'd give a foul he would have given a shot away for Gareth to move the yellow. So regardless of the outcome, the yellow is now out and can be potted. And Mark needs to take them out, so there are advantages and disadvantages of giving two shots away. And I think on the shot 2 shots ago, there was an advantage possibly of going for a shot that would have given 2 away. So after a little bit of thought process and this, that and the other, Gareth did have his opportunity to take the remaining 3 yellows away. Excuse me. But just slightly undercooked that egg a little bit with the screw back shot. Well, undercooked or overcooked. He was either looking to play the yellow into the centre or the yellow to the bottom right hand corner. Either way, he fell a bit short on either. So not 100% over yet for Mark Skinner. If Gareth has the potting angle for the yellow to the bottom right hand corner, I'm pretty certain he'd be down in it already. I think he just might be hampered by the angle with the black. You could possibly play it with a tracer side, and this is a very fine cut into the centre. He is certainly going to be travelling into the red, which is going to leave him almost impossible to pot the remaining yellow. He's looking at the angle. He may have to play this with a tracer swerve if it's that tight. He's looking at it and looking and looking. Sometimes you can't cheat the laws of physics. If it's not there, it's not there. So he's got several options. He can pot the red, the yellow into that pocket, but he's always going to be cannoning into that red, which is impossible. I don't think he has the potting angle to make that into that pocket. Now me myself, being the gloriant I am, I would be playing at club level anyway. That there to there is the shot I would be playing. But then again, I'm a glory hunter. Gareth tried to take it to the top right left hand corner, leave himself the best angle he could for potting the remaining yellow. It's always going to be a difficult pot. You had to try and stop the yellow going in, the white going in off into the centre as well. So although it looks simple here for Mark, it really isn't. He's too low of an angle to pot the red into the centre. Give himself an easy next red. This the more difficult pot, but if it goes down, pretty much guaranteed for the frame. Oh my dear, I'm really got to stop talking because I'm putting the commentator curse on everything. Absolutely awesome pot. You would never consider being tight against the red as he landed. There was so much area for him to play into, which he was playing to anywhere in that area there. Would have been absolutely perfect, and he's ended up where he is. There is a 0 potting angle to put the red into the centre. He can't play the double, he's way too close, it'll be a push shot. There's no way to hide the white ball. Unless he can land right behind the yellow. He's looking to put the cue ball literally there. very, very, very unfortunate there for Mark. Frame at his mercy. Just the roll of the god. Half a roll shorter, you would still have had a pot. I think you could blame the people who brushed and cleaned the cloth. But there we go. Not 100% certain if Gareth's got a pot to the left hand centre. From our angle it looks like it goes, but I think he's concerned of the in-off. If it does go, he's possibly concerned of the in-off or snuggling himself behind the red. Obviously playing a 3-ball plant. Yellow onto black onto yellow. And again, a roll in the right direction for Gareth. Just 1 inch lower, and Mark would have had a perfect angle to just drop the red, both reds into the same pocket. He's going to have to create something. If he misses the yellow, goes around the table, or the long shot to the top. Nothing to do with the white ball whatsoever, just concentrate solely on the pot. I think possibly in the back of Mark's mind there is the yellow is safe. I think there's a lot more pressure on that shot. He would have made it 99 times out of 100. In the back of his mind, I think you may have been thinking, well, if I do miss it, doesn't really matter, but you can't let that get into your head. It's, I need to pot this regardless whether it's over the pocket or 7 foot away. He's looking at cannon in and out. You can cock hat it or a super fine double. It's one of those shots you practice for fun in the club. Ball against the cushion, just off the centre pocket. Cock at it around. He's asking to make sure it's not frozen. We spoke about that earlier, the black ball rules. If it's frozen, then another ball must make contact. You can see he's looking at a super fine double into this pocket. Or it's one of those that you practice 1,000 times, where you can cock at it from different ways. Oops, I beg your pardon. Into there. Into there. There's many, many different ways to look at this one. Whatever Gareth decides to do, he's got to pot it, full stop. There's no way out. You can see he's looking at that. He's certainly looking for the double into the centre here. I've just been royally informed that Weary is tired, and where he is, be careful of. because I've got a lovely woman in the house that dictates my grammar to me. So, weary, he's tired of doing something, and weary, you got to be careful of. Anyway, I digress. Mark eventually taking that, and again another frame where I think Gareth come out guns blazing. And might kick himself, and at the same time Mark might be kicking himself because he could have took it a little bit earlier with that red to the top right hand corner, so it could affect any of the players in each way. That, as Mark is describing there, that pot of the red, and he's saying it may have dropped away, or but we'll return back. So race 10 in the final of the CYMRU CUES Big Welsh 128, live from the Village Sports Bar in Abercraig. Gareth leading 7-6 with Mark just breaking off, which I believe was about dry break. Gareth coming to the table with options. I think the only option and the only one to go for at the moment is going to be yellows. Walking around the table, I think 6 yellows at least have multiple pockets to go into. There's one yellow with just one pocket available, and that's the one he's looking at there. So he's already 4 or 5 shots in front of himself. At what point does he find that angle for that awkward yellow at the bottom? So I think Mark Gareth there was kind of really certain about landing on that yellow. He was confident on being on that yellow and really played a shot he didn't need to play. So
was that Mark person that just went back there?
My apologies there. I think we lost connection for a couple of seconds. Hopefully YouTube caught up with itself. But I did lose connection, so we are back to where we were, and I think, yep, it's Gareth at the table. Playing on yellows. Played a great positional shot there if it was intended to go between the gap and land exactly where he was. He may very well have been playing that shot to move the two reds next to the black. If he did, then he certainly come out with second prize anyway. What did look like a perfect positional shot, I think, was deceiving. Pretty certain he did try to move the cluster of reds and around the black. Without a shadow of a doubt, that was purely intentional. He had to move that red to make the yellow available, so that was a really good shot. He really just needs to play both these yellows. I believe dead weight, the black will only go in one pocket, possibly two, but the pocket he's going to be looking for is going to be the top right hand corner. The black eventually he's going to be looking to put up there, so if these are dead weight, two yellows are dead weight. He's dropped his chalk on the floor. It's not as straight as he'd like to have been on this yellow, so he's either going to drop it dead weight or come off the cushion. Oh, he went for the I'm not sure if I managed to catch a replay in time, but we'll see. I'm not certain if that's exactly what he played, but there we go. No, didn't catch the replay in time, unfortunately. But in the land of YouTube, you can rewind yourself and take a look. And again, absolutely perfect setup from both players on the rack. Bottom ball dead center of the white line. One thing I haven't looked at this evening is from both players. I've been too busy looking at other things. Is how and where they set the white ball up from. Looking at that, you can see that Gareth was breaking about 2 inches away from the baulk line, dead centre. On this occasion, going in off on the break. Again, I can't really say I've paid that much attention to scratches on the break or where they're breaking from, so maybe for the next 4 or 5 frames, depends what we got left. We'll take a look at it. So after Gareth taking that frame from 7-6 up to 8-6, Mark had his opportunities to make it 7-all. Gareth being 2 away from winning the tournament outright with a race to 10. Mark with a little bit of work to do. There's that point in any match, whether it's first round or final, you don't really look at it as being 2 behind, but 2 losses away or 2 frames away from losing the match. And also in the back of your mind thinking, I need to win 4. Sometimes you just gotta try and forget about the numbers and play the game, but almost impossible. No matter who you are, top of the tree or bottom of the tree, you will always psychologically think about, I need to win 4, my opponent needs to win 2. I need to win 1, my opponent needs to win 5. It can work both ways. I watched a match earlier with Tom Davis, who did a great job of coming back from 4-2 down to 6-5, 7-6, etc., right the way through to 9-7, just needing 1 frame and eventually losing 10-9. So it does play a part in your subconscious, looking at the score. Hopefully Mark can just put it away. So from the foul break, it's got a great opportunity to finish this frame, bring it back to 8-7. Mark with a great opportunity here to bring it back to 1 frame difference. You can see the concentration as he's walking around the table, checking every angle, every possibility, every eventuality. This is an important shot. I think he may have run just an inch or so further than he would have liked. Could have done without using the black after this shot, but he may have to. Trusting to luck where the black's going to end up. This looks like an absolutely perfectly natural angle to just pot the yellow in the top right hand corner, come off the right hand cushion. If he can leave himself a straight pot for the last yellow, get as close as he can. If he can draw maybe 6 inches, make the black a lot easier. Oh, he tried to overcook it, tried to make the black a lot easier than it needed to be. Concentrated more there on the positional than he did on the pot. His potting ability would have allowed him to pot that black easily into the centre as a cutback. Tried to draw the white back much further than he needed to. Took his eye off the pot, or maybe the action on the cue ball took it away from the pot. An absolutely ruined opportunity there for Mark to bring it back to 8-7. And if Gareth goes on to win this frame, you can pretty much guarantee that that shot is just going to live in Mark's brain for the next 1, 3 or 4 frames, whatever's left. Sorry to say, an absolutely ruined opportunity there from Mark Skinner. Hopefully he can just tuck it away, put it to bed, but that's put Gareth on the hill, 1 frame to win on this race to 10. And while they're setting up, I will take this opportunity again to tell everybody and explain to everybody that I would normally be there in the venue streaming. I've taken this opportunity to hijack the stream a little bit from my home, give some commentary, and more about commentary than giving the sponsors and the venue the time and airplay that they deserve. The venue being the Village Sports Bar in Abercray, run by Paul Bushnell. Absolutely fantastic venue, one of the premier pool venues in Wales, running without a shadow of a doubt the premier tournaments in Wales. And the Big Welsh 1-8, formerly known now for this event, the CYMRU CUES Big Welsh 1-8, sponsored by Gareth Aries of CYMRU CUES, who at this precise moment in time is on the table looking to recuperate some of his sponsorship funds. But that in mind, he could have easily gone out as round 1 or semi-final. Great advocate of all cue sport related, and one of the best and premier cue ball sport suppliers. Anything that you can associate with a cue ball sport: snooker, pool, billiards. Gareth from CYMRU CUES has it all: cases, cues, cloths, chalks, waxes, tips, ferrules, everything you need, anything you can consider, triangles, balls, everything for all cue ball sports. CYMRU CUES, Gareth Aries. Do a quick search on Google or Facebook, guarantee it'll come up. And those that are already in the know will know that he is, without a shadow of a doubt, one of the best and most premier suppliers of everything cue ball related. And at this precise moment in time, he's on the table, looking to finish this frame off to take the CYMRU CUES Big Welsh 1-8 2024. title. He's not taking things lightly, going around his work professionally, methodically. But the old adage, as they say, it's not all over till the big fat lady sings. And Mark still with a chip and a chair. Granted, needs to win 4 on a bounce, but it's not without the realms of possibility. Playing on reds as we look. Looking to open his account with a double to the centre. Short of 2 halves. If he was to make the double, pretty much guaranteed he's going to cannon the red away from the cushion. And with the insurance of the 2 reds in the bottom. I think it's the right shot to take right now. Okay, so Gareth with not a huge amount of work to do with the yellows, but his penultimate shot is going to be very important where he lands that cue ball. So the last yellow to the right pocket with a right angle is going to be the most important, unless he brings the black out now. Tried his best to bring the black out, made it slightly easier, but still needs premium position to make that black. It's only one small grace or small saving grace for Mark is the yellow to the furthest right of the screen as we are looking. It is available in 3, maybe 4 pockets, but getting position on it is going to be important for Gareth. Decided to go straight at it now. We can drop this in dead weight. As you can see, he's looking at the angle to get back up for the black. He can afford to play this after potting this yellow to the middle, after potting the last yellow. He can afford to come either side of the red for the black. So it's all about his options. So this black for Gareth to take the Big Welsh 128, or the CYMRU CUES Big Welsh 128 2024. And there it is, so there'll be a handshake and a congratulations all round. And now I do apologise, I've just actually looked at the bottom of my screen. It is a race to 11. My apologies, ladies and gentlemen. I've been watching race to 9, race to 10 for the latter rounds. I made my assumption that it was a race to 10, so Mark still has a chip and a chair. And Gareth to break. So while I was away refreshing myself, we could see that Mark is on
Right.
yellows.
Is he?
Tried to force Gareth into, I beg your pardon. Sorry, Mark was on yellows. Gareth tried to maintain possession of the top left hand corner pocket. And I think Mark might just have had a stroke of luck by missing the pot. The white travelling all the way around the table. So maybe time for Mark to get a little bit more fortune than he has over maybe the last couple of frames. Call it fortune or misfortune or however you want to call it. By missing the pot, he's managed to open the corner pocket and put Gareth in a tricky situation. Looking at our angle, Gareth may have a pot to the bottom right hand corner, but in doing so he is definitely going to open up a path for the black if he were to miss it. He's fully aware of that. With the yellows as they stand, if he was to miss a pot, the best outcome would be not to move the two reds next to the black. But I'm not convinced he can hit any other red apart from any of those two. You can see he's looking at the pot. I'm not sure if it will continue past to the bottom corner, but we'll find out shortly. He played the plant. Again, with such a distance between the balls, that was a fantastic pot. He knew in the back of his mind full well that if he'd missed that plant, he would be making the black available for Mark maybe to finish off the frame. Still a little bit of work here for Gareth, but after that fantastic plant, he's given himself every opportunity to take this frame and win the tournament outright. And after that, put himself in the driving seat. Will Mark go balls to the wall and take on the skill shot? 10-6 down, needing to win. Looks like he may just go for the skill shot. Nothing else to go for. He's holding on to the possibility, but unless he came up with a full ball snooker there, I really couldn't see any advantage in playing that shot. If he could played it anyway, but bringing a yellow away and allowing himself a visit next time, but that's all he's done really, is push the 2 yellows into a more difficult situation. Gareth doesn't really have to take that red right now. He can make life a lot easier by separating the red and the black. He could take the pot and go for the clearance, but by taking the pot he will clear up that top corner pocket. I don't think there's any benefit in taking the pot. From his standpoint, as we look at it, if he was to take the pot on, he's still got 2 balls to deal with, which are awkward, so this would be the best one. Separate the black and the red. The only possibility and shout here would be for, I believe, Mark to take the pot to the bottom left hand corner. And try and leave a snooker up the top. And again, he must have killed 7 cats on his way to this tournament this evening, because it's just a roll too far, a catch off the knuckle, a bounce here, a bounce there, a missed pot. Needs to make contact with the ball and the cushion. So after a valiant effort to lay the snooker, looks like Mark has got his own fate in his own hands with these last 3 reds. There's 2 ways to skin this last card. Bottom right hand corner first, or left hand centre first. Just all depends where you'd like to leave the white, and which pocket you'd like to put the black in. And I'm going to put the commentator's curse on this one. This should be all they wrote. So this black to give Gareth Aries the victory and the dues of the Big Welsh 1-8 champion, or the CYMRU CUES Big Welsh 1-8 champion 2024. I don't think Mark done a huge amount wrong. I think both Mark and Gareth made a same amount of mistakes during that final. Mark maybe come the wrong side of bad luck on a few shots, but great final, great entertainment right the way through. So I'd just like to say absolutely fantastic event from everyone. Again, I'd like to give a big thanks to Gareth Aries, the runner, or the runner out, or the winner of this tournament, but also for his appreciation in sponsoring the event for Paul Bushnell, the owner and proprietor of the Village Sports Bar in Abercray. I'd like to wish everybody a great evening. Take care. Hope you've enjoyed the weekend's viewing. Apologies I couldn't be there to give commentary over the entire weekend, but tried my best to help out this evening. Everybody take care. Have a good evening. See you all soon.